This episode was recorded January 16th, 2026. He flew the last plane out of Afghanistan, and now he's looking to replace Representative Nancy Mace in the halls of Congress. I'm Nick Reagan, and in this episode of We the Palmetto, I'm going one-on-one with retired Lieutenant Colonel Alex Pelbath. We're going to talk about his vision for South Carolina's 1st Congressional District. We talked to Low Country voters. Trump was in true campaign form. Voting is officially underway. Joe Biden spoke here in the heart of downtown.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Joining me now, Alex Pelbath. He is a candidate for SC-01, looking to fill Nancy Mace's seat. First off, thanks for stopping by.
I appreciate you having me. Thanks. Good to be here.
Okay, so for folks who maybe haven't yet had the opportunity to get to know you, give us sort of the background. Who are you? Why are you running for SC-01?
Sure. First and foremost, married, 2 kids. We are a Jesus-loving, God-fearing, America First family. I think that's the most important thing about what we have going on. I'm an Air Force veteran. I went to the United States Air Force Academy. That sort of started the career. Met my wife right after I graduated, which is right before 9/11 occurred. And that started a 22-year journey in the military. Along the way, I became a pilot, went to pilot training right away, spent the overwhelming majority of my career in a cockpit, did some time in the Pentagon, and then near the tail end of my career had some significant command experience, I'd say there. So 22 years moving around, most significant career opportunities were actually outside the cockpit, and it was my time in the Pentagon. So while I was there, I was an Air Force budget expert. I worked on an Air Force budget, a number I'll never forget, $747.7 billion was the budget that I helped to shape, and really helped me develop a firm understanding of economic policy. And when you're working on a budget that large and that's significant, this budget becomes part of the PB, the president's budget. This is socializing with Congress, making sure that the things the president's putting through are going to be approved once they get there. So super critical part of my development is becoming an economic policy expert. And then after that job, I had the opportunity to go work literally at the highest level of the Pentagon. For the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, I was on his strategic engagement team, traveling the world, working on national defense policy. So in this race, when it comes to experience, I think from a policy perspective, those I don't think anybody has the experience I do at that level. And then, after I left the Pentagon, I was selected to command, and that's what brought us here to the Low Country almost a decade ago now. And I took command of a C-17 squadron here at Joint Base Charleston. So if folks didn't know, Charleston is home to the largest C-17 base in the world and the only C-17 special operations unit in the world. And so I had the opportunity to command a C-17 squadron, and then at the conclusion of that, I was selected to lead the special operations division here at Charleston. And it was really in that capacity that I would say I had the defining moment in the end of one career and the start of what we're trying to do now, and that was the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan levied upon us by the Biden administration.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have a crazy tie to that. I mean, were you actually flying the last plane?
Yes, yes. I flew the last airplane out. I think what people don't realize or have forgotten is that was actually a 17-day operation. So I think everybody remembers the iconic video of the C-17 taxiing with the people hanging on it, and then of course the tragedy of those people falling as the aircraft climbed away. I think what people forget, those are 2 of our younger guys right here from Joint Base Charleston flying that airplane. Well, that was what kicked off the evacuation. That wasn't the end. Mm-hmm. That was the beginning. That then set up the next 17 days of the most chaotic, crazy experience most of us had ever experienced in the military. And the sad part about that is people don't realize that was the first day because the media stopped covering it because of who was in control at the time. They pretty much shut down what was actually happening on the ground there. And then 17 days later, I was the air mission commander for the final evacuation and flew the last airplane out.
Wow. I mean, can you give us sort of a peek behind, the curtain, if you will, on an operation like that? What do people not see when they're watching the news or reading the social media posts about what it is that you guys went through and had to do to get those people out?
Yeah, so it became a roller coaster, I would say, of emotions for everybody and dangerous at the same time. So you're flying into Kabul, Afghanistan. This is the combat zone. This is the Wild West is what was going on there. You know, that first day, when all the troops started calling that the zombie apocalypse, right? The field gets overrun with thousands and thousands of Afghan civilians. And now we're dealing with that for the next 17 days. So we were putting more people on airplanes than we usually do. Right? No, we weren't even using seats. Floor loading people is what it's called. 500 people on an airplane, stuff that we had never done before. And then we're encountering things that you would never expect to encounter in a combat zone. So one of the stories that I relate, and this is sort of as part of a leadership discussion I give, is 500 people on an airplane with just one aircraft bathroom.
I was going to say, where do they all go to the bathroom?
That presents some challenges that we never imagined that we'd have to face, and then trying to solve that problem, which is not fun and
How
not
did you
sanitary.
solve that problem? I'd love to know.
Well, the second piece of this is a population that indoor plumbing is not a normal thing for them either. So the word I would use is it got to be pretty unsanitary. On those airplanes.
Creative solutions.
That's right. So what we did, I remember the day. There was actually some real operational problems that caused. So we would fly, we pick up all these people, flying back to the main operating base, and we can get into that and the whole vetting, non-vetting that was occurring out there. But then you get all these people off your airplane, and it was taking hours to re-sanitize, clean out and re-sanitize these aircraft for flight, which that's not what we like to do. We don't like airplanes on the ground. We want them flying. And so it really slowed down the operation. And so some creative frontline leaders found a solution to this. And I came out to my airplane one day, and there was a sign tacked to the bathroom door. And it was a diagram, and it was written in their language for how to use a toilet.
Wow.
And then directly below it on the floor was a huge industrial roll of plastic.
Oh my.
And so we developed this new procedure.
Well,
Flying
learn
in
as you go,
that's
I
right.
guess.
Flying in there, we just took that plastic and we lined every horizontal surface, and that seemed to solve it. But it was dealing with issues like that on top of the dangers that we were dealing with, right? And bringing out 124,000 people in 17 days, largest airlift evacuation in history. Just a very unique, chaotic time for all of us.
You've spoken out widely on the woke ideology that is in the military, was in the military. I know some of that's being cleaned up now under the Trump administration and under Pete Hegseth. But I would love for you to give us a good example of some of the things that you're talking about.
Most of it was, so I would say, first of all, those of us in the military didn't need it, didn't want it, didn't require it. One of the stories I love to tell is when you're looking at the special operations unit that I was leading, this is the cream rises to the top. And we had people of men and women flying those airplanes, people of all nationalities flying those airplanes. And that was purely a meritocracy when you're getting to that high level. Okay. There was no affirmative action selection process to get into that. So when I look at this elite organization that is wildly diverse, that tells me that it is just absolutely not necessary that we do those things. And so the things that they made us do was training. We had full days devoted to DEI training, right? We're going to shut everything down so that we can train people to be whatever the woke ideology was of the day and time to do that. So that was the burden that was put on us. And it just, what all of us would say, and what we're seeing from the administration now, is that it was a shift in our focus, right? What did they used to say? Diversity is our strength. And now I heard Secretary Hegseth say diversity is not our strength. Our strength is our strength. And we saw that put into action just recently in Venezuela.
Yeah, I want to get your reaction to that
gosh.
Because when I was listening, I've seen a couple of things on social media just about, like, from the Venezuelan perspective of just how overwhelming the American force was when they came in. I don't know how many of them are true because I don't trust X or social media in general at all. But what I do know is what the president came out and said the day or two after, whenever he came out and explained the operation and what happened, and just the fact that they could swoop in a number of hours and swoop up, the president of another country, legitimate or not,
right,
and then get back out safely and without any casualties.
Yeah, that's the key factor.
I think there was a damaged helicopter, but it still
Even
flew
that
out.
helicopter
It
came
still
out.
flew
That's
out.
exactly right.
When you heard the president talking about the operation itself and just how many different components there were, all of these things working together, what was sort of your reaction, and what do you think that says about America's military in 2026 now?
Great question. You know what my first reaction was? Jealousy. I wished I was still wearing the uniform. It was the first time I wished I was back in the military. What an amazing operation. And what an amazing demonstration of the capability of all of our defense agencies working together, right? The report that came out that we're talking FBI, CIA, NSA working together with the United States military, certainly all the services within the military working on this issue. And what an incredible demonstration of what we are capable of when our priorities are correct, which is what they are now. And we're able to, when I say we, I mean the United States military is able to focus on the things that matter most, which is getting the job done. And, you know, for the last 4 years of my career under the Biden admin was very disjointed is what I would say. All the agencies were disjointed. Nobody trusted the FBI and the CIA. And we saw all these people working together and like 120 aircraft, a surprise attack at night, overwhelming force, not overwhelming, I would say combat, but not overwhelming numbers. As a matter of fact, we were extreme minority when it came to the numbers of people we employed, and yet we still had overwhelming force.
How difficult is it to coordinate all of those aircraft? I mean, just from the Air Force perspective, how difficult is it to coordinate 100 plus?
It's incredibly difficult, and all that planning starts days prior. And I know this, part of my job as the Air Mission Commander for the final evacuation of Kabul. We had a quarter of the size of what they were doing. I had 30 aircraft that I was managing during that final evacuation. I had my 5 C-17s that actually went in the middle of the night. That final mission was pretty impressive in a similar fashion. 5 C-17s landed in the middle of the night, all blacked out using night vision goggles, 3 aircraft on standby, fighters, bombers, UAVs, command and control in the air, plus the 82nd on the ground. It's very difficult, but because we are professionals at this, the planning that goes into it was exhaustive. We planned for the final mission going into Kabul for days, right? About a week actually leading up to it. I imagine the planning for that mission was going on for quite a while. That is why it's executed to such perfection, because these people are professionals.
Now, as a potential congressman, do you have any concerns about the way that the president uses the military without expressed approval from congressional leaders?
No, and what I'm seeing right now, we're not, this is not war. He's not declaring war, putting us at war. What he is doing is exercising, first and foremost, what he promised to do. And that was deliver peace through strength for the United States of America. And those on the left, obviously, who despise this stuff, look, President Trump could cure cancer and they'd find a reason to hate that. This is the same type of thing. Peace through strength means you have to do the strength part of it. And one of the best things, from a military perspective, that's what we signed up for. That's why we wear the uniform. The best way I ever heard it described to me was the purpose of the United States military is to keep it an away game. America does not like home games. Keep it an away game. And that's what we're seeing President Trump do. You want to keep boots off of foreign shores? This is what is required.
I have concerns about whether or not we're actually going to be running Venezuela. The president says we are, but I mean, that could potentially transition into an effort where there are troops on the ground there. In fact, we obviously put troops on the ground to get Maduro. Do you have, I mean, where's the red line there? At what point does the president need an approval from Congress?
Yeah, anything that's, I would say, war, going to war, is the thing.
Is stealing a president of another country an act of war? No,
because he was. I mean, if we're talking about a legitimate president, if we're not talking about a criminal, this is what this was. This is a criminal, and this is somebody who was obviously a direct threat to the United States of America as well. Is sort of what we're seeing there. I think what we need to keep in mind here is that the difficult answer to the question is it depends, and I know people hate that answer.
It's the most realistic.
That is the answer.
Yes.
It depends, and it depends on this. What we're trying to do is not create another Iraq, Afghanistan, where we're somewhere for 20 years. And if we do nothing, if we just go in there and strike and then leave and the whole thing collapses and we just have to go back again, well, then we screwed that up. If we go in there and we stay for 20 years, then we screwed that up. There is somewhere in between those, and the answer is it depends. When our intelligence agencies and I think the apparatus decides that, hey, this isn't a safe space again. The whole point is keep America safe.
I'm anticipating another depends here, but the president is weighing action in other areas.
Yeah.
Iran, for example. Where do you stand on that? Should we intervene in that country?
Yeah. I mean, you nailed it. It depends. I mean, today, I would have to see the intel reports.
Sure.
Okay. This is we're talking about our leaders dealing with information that we just don't have. And this goes both sides of the aisle. I mean, one of my favorite stories is you go back to when President Obama ran on closing Gitmo. This is one of his things. He was going to close. Gitmo's open today.
Yeah.
I imagine President Obama got in the seat and was presented with some intelligence that changed his mind on that scenario because he did not, in fact, close Gitmo. Same thing here. We don't have access to this intelligence. So,
what would be a good reason to get involved in effectively what's right now a country's own civil war?
Yeah, well, Iran's super complicated, obviously.
Yeah.
They are one of our primary, I would say, adversaries in the world, along with a few other countries. And so policies that long-term keep us safe may take short-term action to continue that. So, we saw with Midnight Hammer, the strike on the nuclear facility, another amazing example of the president living up to his promises, something that we all want to see. And certainly we should all agree on keeping nukes out of Iran, keeping that capability away from them. Same type of thing. And then I think we as Americans need to decide how much we're going to tolerate the murdering of innocent people in that country. And so yeah, I'm sorry to answer, but it just depends.
That's fair. Let's talk about domestic policy
Sure.
for a moment, because obviously you're going to go, if you are elected to Congress, represent the people of South Carolina. What is the most important issue non-militarily that's on your agenda?
Yeah, you mind if I give you a couple? Because there are a couple. I don't think that these are mutually exclusive. I think we can focus on multiple policies at once. They can all be important to us, and we can that's right. We can apply resources and policy to affect all of us. One is continuing the fight on immigration, and these are all tied together as well, because the next thing I'm going to say is economic policy and affordability, which is really number one on Americans' minds right now. And as I go around and talk to our constituents here in the Low Country, that's very, very high on everybody's list as well. Well, those two are tied together. So on immigration, the president's done an amazing job closing the border. We're continuing to get rid of criminal illegals, number one. What we're seeing now is a lot of fraud going on. Let's continue to tackle that problem. And then the amount of illegal aliens we have in this country is directly leading to some of the unaffordability issues that we have around here. So what I'd say, and what I would love for the Republican Party to just continue to tout what I'm about to say is this isn't, we recognize that we are a nation of immigrants. This isn't something we want to do.
Right.
This is something we have to do. Right? We've had 8 years of Obama, 4 years of Biden, 12 out of the last 16 years of just a wide open border policy. We have been backed into this corner where this is what we have to do. If we're going to put America and Americans first, we have to have a strong stance on it.
Do you have any wiggle room for people like dreamers, the folks that have been in the country since they were babies? They have no connection to technically their birth country, lived here their whole lives. And to also a different extent, and you can separate these if you like, but the folks that are doing jobs that Americans are not doing, I think particularly in the agriculture sector. Do you make any kind of carve-outs for either of those two groups?
Yeah, unfortunately right now, I think, just back to what I said about this being something that we have to do and not something that we want to do. I think the policies that make it more affordable for Americans to thrive in this country need to be at the front of our minds. It's really what it needs to come down to. And then, branching off of this affordability issue is the healthcare issue.
Yep.
And we know these things are all related around here, and we get that right here in the Low Country as well too. So there are, what the estimates are, over 100,000 illegals in South Carolina, and so it is a challenging problem, and it is something that the left has forced us on the right to tackle.
Well, you already brought up ICE. ICE has caused some problems for other areas of the United States, and admittedly, generally speaking, Democratic-controlled areas. I think about Minnesota right now. I'm curious if you've kept up with that situation, if you've seen the videos of ICE, shooting a protester up in Minnesota. Have you seen those videos? And from your judgment, do you think that was justified?
Yeah, I would challenge you on the way that was set up. ICE has caused no problems in the United States of America. ICE is not causing any of the problems. ICE is out solving problems. So people committing crimes are causing the problems. I mean, ICE is law enforcement. And what I wish people on the left would look at is that these are regular people. ICE are regular people wearing a uniform doing a very difficult job. They are no different than the rest of our police and law enforcement. We have asked them to do something very, very difficult within our own country. They are not the cause of anything. They are doing what is required to keep people safe, first and foremost, keep people safe, two, execute their mission, and three, what we're seeing in Minnesota is to tackle this ridiculous fraud issue that's going on up there. I mean, thank goodness for people like Nick Shirley uncovering this, because certainly the local politicians up there and the media was not covering it. And if you saw today, Nick Shirley released a new video today, a new fraud video, not even related to the daycare centers. This is a completely new chapter of fraud being committed in Minnesota. So I applaud our ICE and law enforcement for doing one of the most difficult jobs we've ever asked them to do. And here's what I think the Republicans need to focus on, not just having their backs, but we need to think about their families too.
What does that look like? I mean, is that a policy proposal? What would you do with that?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Well, I mean, what does that look like? What does Congress do to protect ICE? Is there something that you as a potential
certainly holding the
do?
line on the law, holding the line on the law, holding what people can do in Congress, what legislators can do certainly is make sure that the rhetoric is being combated with, the negative rhetoric that we're hearing from the left is being combated with the right. I mean, the fact that people on the left are calling for violence, the way that ICE is being described by people on the left, comparing them to really heinous forces is at the root of some of the violence that we're seeing. And so, what I would just say to all of us and to all of our law enforcement, this goes for fire department as well and the military. These are all, I served in the military. What we often forget is that our families serve too. Okay, I'm gone. My family's worried about me being gone. I mean, the text I got from my wife when she was watching what was happening in Afghanistan, this is what our ICE members are going through and their family members are going through today. So we certainly can pass legislation that ensures that, hey, we've asked them to do this hard job. We're obligated to take care of them and their families.
Well, Congress definitely is not a one-party organization like it is here in South Carolina. How do you work with Democrats? And bearing in mind that some of these people, we talk about Minnesota, you think about like Ilhan Omar, for example, who is very critical of conservatives in general. And you also mentioned, some of these liberals use terms that associate the right with groups like Nazis. How do you work with those kinds of people to get anything done in Congress? Because we all know Congress right now is doing almost nothing. So how do you work with the other side?
Yeah, two parts to that. So this is one of the reasons I am running for United States Congress. Okay, what I experienced in Afghanistan was terrible. And it was the first time in my life that I watched the President of the United States go on TV and say something. And 24 hours later, I was dealing with those repercussions, right? I watched up close and personal what happens when career politicians put themselves ahead of the country. All right, first and foremost, that's it. But let me say, what I think America is facing today from the left is more dangerous than that. When Mamdani got elected, I'm not worried about Mamdani down here in the 1st Congressional District, but here's what we need to be concerned with. The mainstream Democratic Party endorsed him. And we all knew they were socialist. But for them to come out and say, no, we are socialists now. At least they used to hide it before. They're pointing to him as the future of the Democratic Party. That is why I'm running to fight that. I mean, the message that we continue to pass in our campaign is this isn't about electing Republicans anymore. This is about electing the right Republicans who aren't afraid to go to DC and go fight that fight. I mean, go to war for the conservative values that make this country great. When it comes to working,
can you work with like a Mamdani? I know he's not in Congress, but
No, Ilhan Omar and AOC and those type of leftists, the way that you work with them is by holding the line, is by Republicans winning the House and holding the line. Now, this is not true of all Democrats. So There are plenty of Democrats in the United States military. Some of my closest friends, you go to war with somebody, politics get put aside. There's no politics in a foxhole, right? And there's
right.
So
you're talking about working with moderates and not attempting to work with extremists.
Here's the line.
Yeah.
Do you love and want the best for the United States of America? Okay. This is what this country used to be, is we all wanted the best. We all loved this country and we all wanted the best future for the United States of America. We just disagreed on how to get there. Right. If you're a person who loves the United States of America and wants the best for the United States of America, yeah, I'll work with you. But this entire branch of the left does not. Socialism is not the best thing for America. We have a different vision for the direction of this country. And I want to go to DC to represent the low country, to fight that fight, to make sure that we protect what a family means, that we protect girls, women and girls, right? That we continue to fight the transgender issue, that we protect our children from the woke nonsense that's happening, and then we protect America and continue to build an economy that thrives, which we know is not socialism.
Well, since you brought it up, I mean, what is your position on the transgender issue, generally speaking?
Yeah, generally speaking, however you want to live your life, if you're an adult, go live your life however you want. Don't make us live your life. Don't make us change our views to support your mental illness. And most certainly, do not get involved with our children. So transgender boys playing girls sports, absolutely not. Look, so grateful to be in the Republican Party. We're the party of fact and science and truth. It's so wonderful to be on that side. It is a fact that boys playing girls sports have a significant advantage, and it's wonderful to see so many young girls and women pick up this fight to protect girls. That's really where I think the fight needs to happen from them. And so, I will fight to the death to protect our girls.
Before I get to my final question and then allow you to give us your final pitch, I want to go back to the military side of things, because it seems like we're going to be talking about what's happening overseas, what's happening in Venezuela for a while now. And I just want to I want to get clear from you here. Do you support putting troops on the ground in either Venezuela or over in the Middle East?
You're going to hate this answer. I apologize to the viewers who hate this too, but look, this is my experience as a commander in the military, in the United States military.
Yeah.
The answer is it depends. Yes, I support it if that is the right action that keeps America the safest. I do not support it simply to occupy a territory, to force some foreign country to think the way that we think, to solve all their problems for it. If that is what is required to keep America first and America safest, then I'm okay with it. And all the military members are okay with it too. This is why we signed up. None of us signed up to go sit in a cubicle. Put me in, coach. That's what we want. So speaking on behalf of, I know so many military members who are prepared to do what it takes for America. That's why they wear the flag on their shoulder. It's why they wear the colors of the country. Absolutely, I'm okay with it if the situation is warranted to keep America first and Americans safest.
Yeah, I mean, I can appreciate the transparency and the nuance in the answer. I always ask the Trump conservatives, as a way to differentiate between them, where they don't see eye to eye with the president. Is there somewhere, something that you and President Trump don't agree on?
Yeah, right now there just isn't. And there was. I was a little bit skeptical about how tariffs were going to work out. But here's what we're seeing time and time again, is the president be right. Even on these things that sound surprising to us, he is right. And we've got to the point where I even on maybe some things where I question, I wonder if that's the best thing to do, he has the benefit of the doubt. Everything the president's doing with regard to immigration is working. Our economy right now is, despite what the left is trying to say and pitch, is thriving, right? We have the lowest inflation we've had in 6 years. And if you saw GDP hit 5%, this is the first time in 6 years that GDP, that growth, has outpaced inflation, which means that even if you're not earning more money as a regular American, your money is going farther. So economic policy, tariffs are working right now. They're working not just economically, but as a national defense policy as well. And there is no question that the world believes we are the strongest and most respected country in the world. So I think at this point, here's where, if you disagree with President Trump right now, it doesn't make you an independent thinker. It makes you an idiot. Right now, everything that President Trump is doing is working. And so until it stops working, if not that we don't have thoughts on I mean, I'll tell you that I analyze everything that's happening.
Sure.
And then the result is success. I'm pretty happy with the direction things are going. And I'm very happy to tie myself and my campaign to what the president's doing. It's why I think it is so important that we elect the right Republicans this year in Congress. We know the left is coming after us hard. You know, if all of this goodness that we're experiencing right now in the country, if the Democrats win the House or the Senate, it's over. It's over. Impeachment starts immediately. Lawsuits, they just shut down everything. This is so important that we put forth the best candidates in the primary so that we can ensure we retain the House and the Senate.
All right. Give you your shot now here. You kind of already did it, but
I'm doing a little bit right there.
I'm going to let you do it anyways. Why should folks vote for you?
Yeah, I appreciate it because I think what we need in Congress right now, I think America, our voters, our citizens and constituents here, we are tired of career politicians just trying to move up the career ladder. I am not a politician. I never planned to run for Congress. I am a leader first, and I am an expert in policy. I think it's policy over politics. It's character over career politicians. That's what Americans want. That's what we should be voting for. I mean, my plans, to bring it home here, I don't hear anybody else talking about this. We know we have great infrastructure challenges here in the Lowcountry. Our roads are terrible. Traffic is out of control in the Lowcountry, and nothing has been done about it. Everybody talks a big game, but nothing has been done about it. And so I don't like the idea of hearing other politicians say that they haven't been able to get the job done here at home, but now we're going to send them to DC and they're going to get the job done. I don't think so. So my plan to help solve the Lowcountry's infrastructure problems, we provide a tremendous amount. The 1st Congressional District has so much military here. We have the port. We're continuing to expand. They're talking about adding more. What we do in the 1st Congressional District for the United States of America is of tremendous value. And therefore, the United States of America should be investing in the 1st Congressional District. And that is how I plan to solve it. I'm not interested in paying more taxes, giving more money to the government. We already pay the highest taxes in the Southeast. They can't get it done. I'm not going to give them more money to get it done. What we're going to do is we're going to bring specific appropriated dollars to help solve some of these problems because of what we do for the United States, because of what Lowcountry residents do for the United States of America. They deserve it.
Hey, I'm all about paying less in taxes for sure. All right. Well, excellent conversation. Retired Lieutenant Colonel Alex Pelbath. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Wonderful. Appreciate it.
Don't miss any future episodes of We the Palmetto by subscribing anywhere you get your podcasts, or you can watch the video versions of this episode and all previous episodes on the Live 5 Plus streaming service, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV.